Welcome to Sharpe Way. Yes, the Sharpe Way show. It is Monday, and Monday evening means it's Mama. Monday Ask Me Anything. Monday AMA. How about Mama? Is that all right? Sure. It's Mama time. Is that a new song? We've just made that up. It's time for us to do our Monday Ask Me Anything. I like us all to, whenever possible. I wish most people who were advocates, activists, politicians in this world, I wish more of them would be open. So I'm trying to be as open as I can every week by doing this. And if you care about this, as always, I bug you every time, and I will keep bugging you right now. Please like, comment, and share. These things matter. The more you push this out, the better. Absolutely. Follow me on Twitter, The Sharpe Way. It does matter. Follow me on Twitter if you haven't already. Also, please like me on Facebook, The Sharpe Way, if you haven't. And also YouTube. Subscribe. Click that bell for notifications. If you've got some extra cash, more cash than money, head over to patreon.com/sharpeway. Throw me 5, 10, 20, 30 bucks, whatever you got. Happy to do so. All right, today I kind of want to bring up, if I could, something that has been bugging me a bit as I'm thinking about how we move forward. And the first thing I want to bring up is, how in the world do we recover? And I mean that. This has been a very tough first 6 months. Oh my God, what a horrible 6 months of 2020 has this been. It's been terrible. How do we recover? How do we recover, not just financially? Obviously, that is one aspect, an important aspect. With 30 million or 40 million people out of work, how do we recover from that? Number one, how do we get ourselves back in action? Problem number one. Problem number two, though, how do we recover from this government overreach? How do we recover from the overreach that government has done in this case, both with the police action, of course, but also with locking us in and with quarantining, and us as a general rule going, okay, and accepting it more than we should have? How do we recover from that when we've given the government carte blanche to do this again and again and again? But also, how do we recover socially? We've spent 3 months kind of pushing ourselves away from ourselves, right? Quarantining or being afraid or being worried. How do we recover from that? It's not easy at all. And I think we should understand that it's going to be hard, right? If we get that it's going to be hard, if we understand that, we have a better chance of actually recovering. I want us to be able to recover from this. The story I'll tell you is, and any of you have been in the military, you know this. When soldiers and Marines, and they're in the fight, when bombs are falling and rounds are going, it's very common for those soldiers or Marines to huddle together. It's instinctive, it's natural, and the worst possible thing you can do. For those of you who know, that's when bombs drop. Now they all die. This now becomes when a grenade comes, now kills everybody. It's a target of opportunity for the enemy. It is a terrible idea. And soldiers and Marines know this and are taught this, and we still do it. And we still have to be told by our officers, by our non-commissioned officers, break it up, spread out, break it up. Even though we know better and we know logically we shouldn't, instinctively we draw closer to each other in times of worry, of fear, of problems. We do it. It's natural. Even when we know it's against our best interest, we do it. These last 3 months, we've been told to stay away from each other, even though we need each other, even though it's scary and worrisome. And we've been told, no, stay away, social distancing, right? Social distancing. We've been told that, even though as humans, we don't want to, but we're told to. How does that affect us in the coming 3, 6, 8, 9 months? How do we get back to hugging our family and friends that we used to hug all the time? Do we just do it? Do we not? How do we get back to dealing with the older people in our life that we've kind of shot away from because we didn't want them to get sick? How do we date? I mean, my wife doesn't let me date, so I can't date. But some of you can date. So how do you date, right? How do you do all those things that are the intimacy that is to be human, the closeness that is to be human? And not just romantically, obviously romantically also, but not just that, just day-to-day life, friends and family and loved ones. This is going to be a challenge. And I just want us to understand that it is. And it will take time. And it will take some of us gambling. to gamble, to get out there and say, you know what, I'm going to hug or shake hands or kiss my friend or insert thing here. Well, don't insert unless it's consensual. So whatever that thing is, right? Do that thing. And when you do that thing, how are we going to recover? How are we going to start going back into stores? Or are we? Right? I look at myself in New York City and realize that my city is not going to be the same after this. And if you live in a city, it's probably going to be similar, but not as bad. And the reason why I say that is, for those who don't know, New York City is a huge city where people coming in and coming out. Between 1 and 4 million are coming in and out of our city every single day. It's massive wave in, massive wave out. Well, that wave hasn't been massive for 4 months now, give or take 3 months, 3 or 4 months. It hasn't been massive. All the people support that wave. All the wealthy people who used to come in, not going to happen anymore. Our city's going to struggle. There's going to be changes. And it's a worry for me. So I guess I better come up with a plan, huh? That's my rule. I come up with a plan. Because what I have to do now, since my overlords now decided that I can go out again, right? So today is my freedom day in New York City. My overlords have allowed me that I can go out now if I want to. Yay, thank you, overlords. Prior to that, I couldn't, right? It was against the law. Whatever. Bad idea, right? I did a little bit anyway, but I wasn't supposed to, at least. So I couldn't go off and work. Most of the people I have dealt with were people who were wealthier, right? Wealthier people who I do coaching with because I couldn't go teach. So my teaching and consulting kind of went away because I couldn't physically go to companies anymore, and I had to do most of my time is coaching like this through Zoom or Skype or phone or something like that. Man, those wealthy people, they have multiple houses, one in New York City and one someplace else, Long Island, Jersey Shore, upstate. Many of them have gone there. They've been working there for 3 or 4 months. They don't want to come back. If they don't come back, others won't come back. They want to stay working from there. That's going to happen to a whole lot of cities. A lot of issues we're working with. Financial, political, cultural, a lot. Let me grab a couple comments if I could, so I can grab some of these comments if I could. Frank, you had a glow sticks out with the intro music. Thank you. Yes, that, by the way, is a band called Encephalon. They're from Canada, and the name of the song is called Rise, if you want to enjoy. Favorite kind of cheese? I don't really eat cheese. I'm not a big cheese guy. I know people love cheese. I'm not really a foodie, to be forward with you. It's funny because I'm on the keto lifestyle, and I've been in the keto lifestyle now 10 years almost. Coming up on 10 years. I think actually this November, no, is it November? I don't remember. This summer is 10 years I've been on the keto lifestyle. And I've been on keto for so long, and many people who are on keto love cheese. I don't really like that much cheese. I like cheese basically on pizza. That's about it. And I rarely eat pizza because keto. So I rarely eat cheese. I don't eat that much. So thank you for sharing, John. Please, more. Please share. Yes. Hello, Toya. Good to see you. We'll be talking soon. Absolutely. So I've been throwing money to libertarians like it's going out of style. I'm becoming addicted to it. Please, Joe, get more addicted. I love it. But, Joe, you're running. Save your money and give it to yourself. What are you doing? You got to get money for yourself, too. You got to run. Joe, you running, too. Joe's going to be on my show, Libertarians Drinking Coffee Live, coming up here. So watch that also. I agree, John. We need to make the case to end the duopoly. The problem is, and this is an issue. The problem is right now people are afraid. They are seriously scared. Americans are worried. Safety, are the rioteers going to come burn my business down? Is Trump going to destroy the economy? Is Biden going to make us all socialists? Is COVID going to come back and kill us all? There's a lot of fear. Some real, some not, but still, it doesn't matter. If someone's afraid, they're afraid. So the idea of ending duopoly is scary. And I know that makes people angry when I say it. But people who are afraid make bad decisions. That's been proven throughout time since we've been keeping track until to this day. So I'd like to have a way of showing what replaces it. If that makes any sense, right? What replaces a duopoly? People tend to be safer or feel better about the devil they know, right? At least I know. You'll hear it often. You'll hear it at least. Or there's no choice. Or you'll hear that often. I have no choice. I got to vote for Biden. I got to vote for Trump. Or, well, at least it's not Biden. Well, at least it's not Trump. You hear a lot of that. The question is, how do we replace that, John? That's an issue. How my friends and I are starting a business with so much uncertainty right now and us being novices. Any general advice you can give? I can give you lots of advice, and I mean lots of advice. First thing, go to my YouTube page that's called The Neo Sage, TheNeosage. About 40 or 50 free videos there. Give you a bunch of info for free. Go there. How to sales calls, starting business, branding, all kind of stuff. Please go there. But here are your general rules. Number one, do not create massive partnerships. 1 or 2 owners, and that's it. Everyone else is a consultant or 1099, no matter what. That's the number 1 issue. Don't start with everybody owning a bunch of your business. You're doomed to fail. Not just that, don't hire a bunch of people up front. Don't 1099 everybody. That's it. Everybody's 1099. Not just that, I'm going to sound horrible. You don't have to pay much right now. The advantage of COVID is to put so many people out of business that you can get labor, very talented labor, relatively cheap right now, which is a good thing. You can promise them, if you want to, through contract or verbal agreement, whatever works best for you, that they will gain something in the future for their sweat equity. But it's good you can get a lot of cheap labor right now to build something. Next, whatever business you go into, think about what's going to be hot now. People feel unsafe. Any type of security, great idea. Physical security, tech security, information security, any type of security, awesome to go into right now. 2, anything with healthcare. Healthcare also is security, by the way. It's just physical, right? It's your health. Health, anything to do with health. Anything to do with health, good idea. Mental health, physical health, doesn't matter, good idea also. Next, anything that will reconnect people, because we need to be connected again. I was just talking about this, right? Anything to reconnect, whether that's like a Zoom type thing or whether it's how do I connect to my buddies, a new type of Facebook, anything that will connect people in any way, shape, or form. That can be physical too, like a new meetup group or a new way of connecting people with, we all have the same t-shirts or we all have the same this. Any of those things, you're going to rock and roll. Next, remember, break your business up into 3 separate pieces. There are 3 pieces. Sales and marketing, that's 1. Second one is operations. Third one is administration. Your sales and marketing must be about efficiency. If you're not going to spend for any startup, at minimum, 1/3 of all your money in marketing and advertising and branding, you're throwing your money away. At least 1/3, if not half, to start with the branding. Operations is secondary. If you make errors through operations, you can always fix them. But errors in marketing, a whole lot worse. I want money coming through my company so I can find my errors. So bring money in. The first thing to do is work on revenue, work on profits later. First, revenue. So bring it in through marketing, stumble through your operations, outsource all of your admin. You should be doing nothing. Admin is things like legal, payroll, stuff like that. Outsource all of that. That's all outsourced. You guys are doing none of that. So outsource that stuff. Work on your efficiency when it comes to, your effectiveness when it comes to operations, and be very aggressive on your marketing and sales. And those are some issues, those are some tools you can use. And of course, also, those are some fields you want to look into. And lastly, go to the Neo Sage YouTube page. Good luck, brother. All right. Larry Sharpe gets it. Thank you. I try to. Yes. Who was the best president on the economy? I don't know. Good question. The one who let small business grow the most. There we go. All right. When Fox or CNN talk about the president's race, why are they not mentioning Joe Jorgensen? You know why, Pete. You know why. You know why. Because that's how they punish us, right? The major media outlets punish us not by insulting us. They punish us by ignoring us. It's way worse. It's actually way worse. That's why, Pete. They don't want to talk about it. And most people in America still to this day believe there is no other way except left or right, and anyone else in the middle is just making the other guy win, right? Every Democrat goes, a vote for Jorgensen is a vote for Trump. And everyone who supports Trump goes, a vote for Jorgensen is a vote for Biden. They always say that. So that's why we have to be more popular. That's it. If we are more popular, they will cover us. If we're not more popular, they won't. So I get way too excited when I see people at the grocery store. Oh, I like that. I smile and say hi to everyone. I think I scare people. I learned to have an inner extrovert through all this. I love it, Frank. I love it. It's good. Better to be, a bit more than a bit less, I think. So, all right, let's see if I can find this. Favorite non-mainstream beverage. I don't drink it very much, but I happen to like cherry soda. So black cherry soda. I do like black cherry soda very much. And Stewart's, by the way, Stewart's black cherry soda. I do like that very much. I don't drink it very often, again, because I'm on the keto lifestyle, but that probably is one of my favorites. And I also like root beer very much. All of the root beer. A&W, Stewart also has root beer. So yes, all of those. I like all of those. There we go. So if they defund the police, who's going to confiscate the guns and enforce social distancing? It's a very good point. I mean, you're right. But the issue is defunding the police. The odds are they aren't going to defund the police. The odds are they aren't, but they might. The issue, again, I would say, Pete, the same issue. How do we let people know what will replace it? Right? Something will have to replace it, or people, again, will be like, oh, my God, the world's ending. Give cops more power. And that sounds dumb, but we see it again and again and again. I mean, what did the cops do? The cops, people were rioting, looting, people were protesting, all those different things, all of those things, supposedly because the cops were police brutality. So what did the cops become? More brutal. That's how it works. So if we're going to defund the police, we need to have an answer, don't we? We can't just go, okay, no cops. So I think we have to do something. Yeah. Your wife doesn't let me date. She does not let me date. No, my wife does not let me date. It's true. Hey, some wives do. Mine doesn't. So there we go. I don't judge. That's I don't let her date either. So it's fair at least, right? So it's not just one way. Not like she gets the date and I don't. We both don't get the date. That's how it works. So far, we've survived 20 years, so it's working. Yeah, maybe later. Never know. It may change. Yes. All right. Let me keep going here. Never stop hugging my friends and family. Max, outstanding. I love that. Me too, by the way. Me too. I agree with you. Jonathan, you should be dating your wife. Well done. Oh, Jonathan. Nicely done. Yes. And sadly, we haven't had much time to do that. We did this weekend. I offered to take my wife on a drive because we officially couldn't go any place because it locked down because our overlords wouldn't let us in New York City. But I took her out for a drive anyway, and we just drove around and we stopped by a park. We can't go to the park because they closed the park down because I guess we might die if we go to a park. Like going outside and getting sunlight might kill us, I guess. So the parks are locked down. So we couldn't go to the parks. So we had to drive next to a park and look at the park. So we did that this weekend. So I guess we kind of dated this weekend. Jonathan, that's okay. A little bit. There we go. Good. So I hugged my best friend on her 50th birthday this weekend. It was well worth the risk. I agree. I love that. Yes, I love that. It still amazes me to see how shocked some people are when they find out the government lies. There's a thing, Pete, that I think a lot of people deal with, and that is we don't want to believe that the things we've believed in for so many years could be wrong. I mean, imagine how that feels, right? Imagine how it feels when it's like a kid finding out Santa Claus isn't real. I know it's kind of a joke, but there's a part of that that's human, right? You've been told almost all of your life, most of us have at least, most of us have been told throughout our life that do the right thing, the cop's there to help you, the system is there in your favor, do the right thing, you'll get ahead, work hard. We've been told this forever. You know, you'll get your day in court, right? We watch TV, and the TV shows have been telling us, well, now we don't watch TV anymore, but some old people like me used to watch TV. But we used to watch TV for years, and every TV show ended with the good guy making it happen, the bad guy in the end getting his or getting hers, right? That happened. So I think this is a cultural issue that, the cops are the good guys, the government's the good guys. That's how it works. I think when I was a kid, teenager, and I joined the Marine Corps, life was black and white for me. I really believed it. America's always right, always good, and the enemy's always evil, and the enemy's what the government tells me the enemy is. Clearly not true, but when I was 18, I bought that completely. I totally bought that. I was like, yep, that is the way things work. Who's the enemy today? Oh, those guys, they're the bad guys. They're the bad guys. And life was easy. Life is simpler that way. And when as they say, the scale falls from your eye, it can be very hard to accept that. It can be very hard to believe that. It's almost like if any of you have ever been cheated on by a lover, someone who you believed in and trusted, and all of a sudden you find out, oh my God, they've been cheating on me. It can be devastating. So it doesn't shock me at all, Pete. I mean, if you've been told something is true and you believe it in your heart, it was very hard for me to accept that to not be true, right? And there's still a part of me. There's still a part of me that when I hear the government go, they're the bad guys, there's a part of me that still wants to believe it. I know for some of you who've heard how I talk, you may think it's crazy, but no, it's still in me. That doesn't go away, right? I still have it. There's still a part of me that goes, yeah, USA, right? And I want to salute the flag and go fight people. I still have part of that in me. I can't, it doesn't go away. It's still in me. So I still understand why people can feel that. Absolutely. So Matthew wants to throw money towards throw money towards his campaign, Joe. Don't do it. You got your own campaign, Joe. Do your own. Anyway, I love you guys both. You both have good campaigns. I hope you guys both bring in lots of money. All right. So Linda's been going out the whole time. Thank you so much. I think you should. I wish we all have. I loved it. Jonathan, same thing. I love it so much. Many New York State residents moving to Florida. Yes. Seeing them move here in droves last couple of months, keeping our property value stable in Florida. I got to tell you, Florida is benefiting from New York so much. Oh my God, so much. 100%. A bunch of the people who actually have pensions in New York State are spending them in New York, are spending them in Florida, Tennessee, North Carolina. They're getting pension money from taxpayers in New York, and they're spending it in other states. It's horrible. You're right. We were losing over 100,000 New Yorkers every single year. We're going to lose so many, and we're gonna lose two. Most people don't know this. New York State is so bad. We are going to lose 2 congressmen in the census. That's how we've lost so many people in New York State. We're going to lose 2 congressmen. Now, remember, one congressperson is about 750,000 people, give or take, depending upon how you measure and where you are, but around that number. That means we've lost about 1.5 million people out of New York State. That's more than a bunch of states themselves have left our state in droves. 1.5 million in 10 years. That's my awesome Governor Cuomo. Well done, man. Well done. People can't run away fast enough. Look at that. It's embarrassing. My state's an embarrassment. And the worst part, he's got a high approval rate still. He's doing great. Yeah, he is. Wow. All right. So thank you for that. All right. Nothing changes. This virus will become in time like the Spanish flu. It's not a virus, but it's the Spanish flu. We need to take things into context. I agree with you, William. I think we have to find ways of making that work. I mean, that's the issue. Find ways of surviving in these times, right? That's the biggest issue. People moving to suburbs can help those economies. I agree, right? The issue that we have is the local economy, right? This is one of the biggest problems. So many people have been now buying online. Online is huge, and so many stores are going out of business. The advantage of this, and this is a terrible advantage compared to the devastation, is that stores will have to be better in creating a better environment to where it's worthy, to where you, Roy, decide, you know what, I could click online, but I want to go to this store or this group or this retail outlet. But a lot of people have become accustomed to clicking that button on Amazon or wherever, Best Buy or whatever they're doing, wherever they're buying stuff, heavily obviously on Amazon, but other places too. And now a lot of these businesses are moving towards that realm to where we're creating almost a monopoly. It's going to be hard because I moved to the suburb, but then I still buy a lot from online. So I'm not really supporting my local economy as much as I could. Oh, sorry, as much as I would have in the past. I was doing things like haircuts and local groceries and such, right? So some of that I will still get locally, but not as much. That's an issue for sure. What do you think of the Anti-Lynching Act in the Senate? I think, there's 2 problems. One of the biggest problems is it's not worded very well at all. And now, of course, George Floyd comes. Wow, what a PR nightmare to be against it. Just a PR nightmare. If you're going to be against that act, you really have to be able to explain what you want to change and how you want to change it in a very crystal clear way of doing it. Because what usually happens is the pendulum swings the opposite way. And then all of a sudden now it's going to go from, cops beating up and on Black people to all of a sudden anyone who looks at someone who's not them in a certain way getting 10 years in prison. So there is a horrible slippery slope with the Anti-Lynching Act. The problem is people are not saying that's the issue, right? They, instead of just going, no, it's a bad idea, they say, here's how we word it now. Here's how we adjust it. That's not being done well at all. As a CDL driver, how can artificial intelligence, as a CDL driver, tell how artificial intelligence is going to affect my industry? Are the robots taking over? Yes, Cave Nate, they are. They are taking over. The issue is how are CDL drivers going to now adopt and address that? The issue is right now, what people are looking at is the idea of a driverless car. What we want to try to achieve is not a driverless car, but a car that's driven by some form of machine or robot with artificial intelligence. But still, the overall issue is it's somehow controlled by a human. I still want the empathy piece there, right? No matter what, I want the empathy piece there in some way, shape, or form. I think many of the drivers and the unions and the owner operators, I used to be an owner operator, many owner operators, they're just afraid of losing their job. And they're just saying, push them out. Don't let them come in. All that's doing is slowing down the eventually, almost every vehicle. If you've ever watched the HBO show Westworld, while it's a very odd show, one part they did in the third season was amazing. Is almost every car has no driver, because that's the future. It's taken place, I think, in 2050. I forgot what year it takes place in. Whatever year it takes place in that year, no car has a driver, right? No car does. And I think that is our future, but we have to, because it makes traffic will be better, cheaper, faster. There's a lot of advantages to it. The disadvantage is you don't want a system that can't recognize a human trying to cross a road. And that's the hard part. You don't want a machine not knowing and not understanding the perils and when to drive and not to drive. So I think most of the CDL drivers have to first become, we call them Marine Corps, A drivers, right? The assistant driver, and then eventually dispatchers. So the job will change and shift. And a dispatch will be much more of someone watching to make sure things aren't going wrong. So I think that's the future of most drivers in about, I'm going to guess, 15 years is my guess. If you're ready to retire within 10 years, you're probably fine. If you're not, it's going to affect you, and you probably want to start getting on board now. Right? When I talk about artificial intelligence, it's important to remember, any type of technology, particularly computers, but internet technology, it's very similar and in many ways. And the thing I use often when it comes to AI is I use the example of chess. When I was a kid, I played a lot of chess as a kid. And when I used to buy the very rudimentary, elementary chess computers back in the 70s, I could beat them, right? I could beat the computer. Well, those days are long gone, right? Because initially, chess master always beat computer. Then eventually it was kind of tie. And then eventually now computer always beats chess master, or almost always beats chess master. So how do you beat the computer? Chess master and computer almost always beat computer alone. What does that mean? That's always in technology, right? If it used to be a guy would plow his field, right? Guy or gal. Usually a guy would plow his field, right? Then a horse came and a horse plows the field. Nice. What's better than a horse plowing a field? A guy riding a horse or guiding a horse. So we have to become the person or the people who then guide AI. That's how that has to work. If it doesn't, you have a bigger problem. So I think that's how it works. I hope at least answers your question. So, yep, getting plenty of calls. I know if you want to start a business, maybe you should be a realtor in Florida. Probably not bad. Just don't go in the owner's area, right? Don't go in Broward, because that's her area. Yes. So, my small town with little crime has had 2 high-profile murders due to people on drugs acting out of their mind. What is the balance between protecting the public and personal freedom? Well, when it comes to drugs, the reality of it is the more legal the drugs are, the safer the drugs are. Most people who want to be on drugs don't want to act out of their minds. Most of them just want to get high and get rid of their withdrawal symptoms. That's the reality of life. If you find a safer way to get rid of withdrawal symptoms, people don't go crazy and act out of their minds and kill people. If the drugs are cheaper and safer, then they don't have to go on a black market to get their drugs. They don't have to fight people and shoot people. How do we know this? Look at most people who take other types of drugs, like caffeine, like alcohol, like methadone. Nowhere near as bad. You will lower the crime rate tremendously if you legalize those drugs. And then also something else, allow cannabis off the Schedule 1, allow people to use cannabis-based products. You use that, and a lot of people will use cannabis products to get off, to mitigate their withdrawal symptoms so they can get off of harder drugs. That's happened often. We see it's happened in Portugal, it's happened in other parts of the world, where people who are addicted to some other form of drug, right, heroin or meth or insert drug here that's tearing them apart, and they now have withdrawal symptoms. And that makes them want to go back to the drug. Well, there are cannabis products that will mitigate those withdrawal symptoms so that they can push through and get clean from the harder drug. Now, will they keep using cannabis? Maybe, but I'll take it. So I think that's really the answer, right? I don't want people to commit crimes. What I don't want people to go to jail for, if you steal to get your drug, that's a crime. Go to jail. But if you steal not to get your drug, it's still a crime. If you steal, it's a crime. If someone breaks into your house, Samuel, and does it because they're mad at you, that's a crime. Does it because they want drugs? That's a crime. Does it because they're bored? It's a crime. I don't really care why they do it. So let's give them less of a reason to do it and let them have their drug legally, and things will be better. And I know people say, well, they'll still be on drugs. Yeah, but if they're on drugs, still on drugs safely, you have a chance at getting to them. You have a chance at them becoming clean. If they overdose and die, they'll never get clean. They're dead. But if they're still there, they have a shot at being clean. So, yeah. Okay, Joe, I know. I had a candidate actually tell me yesterday to not give them money. Yes. Stop, Joe. I'm serious. They're right. Enough. Keep your own money. You got to win. All right. I love listening to intelligent, down to people like you, Larry. Thank you. Thank you, Justin. I appreciate it. Yes. Defunding police. It's our movement. We should be preaching alternatives and being friendly and not intrusive. 100% agree, Jonathan. And I don't think we've done a very good job of that yet, that we have to have an answer, right? The idea of just get rid of this feels great as libertarian. But when you get outside of our echo chamber, that's like, what? Get rid of that? Then what? And you see people start getting stressed. You've got to give them some, well, we can replace it with this. As many of you hear me say constantly, and I want it to stick, whenever you add government, you by default remove community. That is one of the reasons, and a major reason, why minority communities in America have struggled, particularly the Black community. The war on poverty added government, and they're by default removed community. So now you're dependent upon government. There's no room for community. In fact, government pushes community out. So then what do we do when we remove government? We have to encourage community to replace that, right? So whether that's community policing, whether that's local groups, whether that's a private company, we have to have an answer for what do we do when we defund the police. Otherwise, people just get afraid to make bad decisions. So you're right. And we need to have better answers for that. So, hey, Todd, how you doing? All right. Let's see if I can find this. Okay. Where is a Libertarian congressperson after the Will there be a Libertarian congressperson after the upcoming election? I don't know. I hope there'll be many. Lots are running. Look, someone asked me the other day, how do I think Libertarians are going to do this year? I think it's a gamble. I don't know, that's a gamble. It's very random. Maybe it's a better way of putting it. It's very random right now. I don't know how the American people are going to look at our current president or Biden, Trump or Biden, come November. There is a chance that people will rally behind Trump and the economy will be rebounding and everybody like, Trump's awesome. If that happens, Republicans will do very well. If it doesn't happen, if the economy's in the toilet, if things aren't going well, if the Democrats effectively blame Trump, he's going to get crushed and Republicans are going to get crushed. It really depends upon what the American people believe in November. And I really don't know. I wish I can give you an answer to that. I think, is the COVID, is round 2 coming in October? Is it coming in December? When is round 2 coming? How is the economy going to bounce back? Are the Chinese still going to be aggressive? Is the media going to turn on Trump or join Trump? If you look at Fox News recently, parts of Fox News have been questioning Trump, particularly with him bringing the military in to DC. That made a lot of military people get, whoa, what? And I want to explain how bad that actually is. It was a terrible idea. I don't care if you like Trump or hate Trump. This part's bad. He actually wanted to bring the 82nd Airborne into DC. That is a problem. That's bad. National Guard is common. People often bring National Guard into local places. Why? Because they're local troops. National Guard, for those of you who don't know this, I'm sure many of you do, they're from that state. They're local troops, right? So it's their towns, their people. They tend to be better. They tend not to want to destroy things or be mean. They know the people there. That makes more sense. Not that National Guard can't be aggressive. Of course they can. But that's been our tradition. That's been normal. You bring out the local militia, deal with local problems. Bringing in active duty troops from another state, 82nd Airborne stationed in North Carolina, for those who don't know. So you had to bring those troops. And 82nd Airborne, some of our more elite troops, right? These aren't just regular Army. Not that I'm against regular Army. I'm just saying 82nd Airborne, they're paratroopers, right? So there's some of our more elite troops. And you want to bring them into a city to quell a local problem doesn't work. That is one of the reasons, a major reason why the generals said, whoa, what are you doing? And the example they bring up is Tiananmen Square. One of the reasons why, for those who don't know, in Tiananmen Square, in 1989, there was an uprising in Beijing in China. I happened to be on a ship out off the coast in the South China Sea. Maybe it was Sea of Japan. Maybe it was Sea of Japan at the time. I think I was in the Sea of Japan at the time, on a ship. And they were like, well, you guys might be going in. We don't know what's going to happen, because we had no idea, because the Chinese didn't immediately crack down. And we found out later, one of the reasons why the Chinese didn't crack down is the Chinese leadership was afraid that local troops wouldn't fire on Chinese. So they ordered Mongolian troops to come into Beijing, because they knew Mongolian troops wouldn't care and probably would fire if they were ordered to fire. And that's what they brought in Mongolian troops. So the president bringing in the 82nd Airborne was a signal for a lot of people. So if that kind of thing happens again, if people get mad at him, it could change everything. I'd have no idea. I think the libertarians this year are either going to get creamed because everyone stays afraid and does nothing, or are going to do amazingly, so much better than we imagined, because people just get so tired of the other two. They go, I'll take anything now. Yes. Who's Jo Jorgensen again? Let me talk about her. So I really think it's up in the air. I wish I had a better answer. Usually I give you better answers, I know. I just think this time it's really up in the air. So Cuomo has made nothing but bad decisions. Why not try the LP ticket? I agree. Yes, absolutely. Sorry for the food questions. Not at all. This is AMA. You can ask me anything. I don't mind. I answered them, didn't I? I don't care what questions you ask me. All good. Is Jo Jorgensen going to get out more and be louder? This is a great third party. I don't know. I think you should ask the Joe campaign themselves. I've given the Joe people access to my social media. They have a couple of my teammates on their team. Joe is supposed to be coming on my show. This show here, Sharpe Way, in about 2.5 weeks, 2 weeks or so. So I'm doing what I can to assist. But I think they will know better than I would. So, yes, this other thing, James, great point. You basically can't do 1099s in California anymore. For those of you who don't know this, this is what government has done. Another way that they have completely lost. New York and California have been the worst at this, but your state's coming if it isn't there. And that is, they have tried to get around the gig economy and the contractors. So what they're doing is they're basically, instead of trying to make a better environment for employers so that employers can actually hire easier, because in many states, New York is one of the worst. Once you're an employee, this is literally the rules. If you're an employee in New York and you make any attack against or any claim against your employer, that employer, you don't have to prove anything. The employer has to prove it's not true. The assumption is the employer is guilty. That's how the law works in New York State. And I'm sure probably California, many states, right? So once you're an employee, if you make my employer made this bad, that bad, could be completely lies, or could be true, but doesn't matter. There's no real due process for your employer. So your employer basically just has to go, okay, how much money do you want? And that's what happens constantly. Well, people now, so what do small business do? They don't hire because one of those closes the business. So they won't hire anymore. They instead get 1099s or use gig economy. That's how they're able to afford to get talent without having to keep the liability. So what did the state do? Well, the state could have said, let me make it fairer for employees and for companies. No, we're just going to make sure that now we expand what an employer is. So basically, unless it is crystal clear obvious, this is another company, that person by the state is just considered an employee. I would do it anyway, James, because you have no choice. Use gig economy 1099s. You have no choice. A small business owner cannot afford to hire people. They just can't. One claim and they're finished. And if you're new, you're going to make a mistake because you're new. And the state doesn't care. The state will go, oh, you made a mistake? Good. Now I can hammer you. Lawyers, they don't care. There's a whole class of lawyers, particularly in New York and California, but all over. Their job is to prey on businesses and their insurance. That's their job. They actually don't want to go to court. They're basically shakedown artists. It's a whole group of lawyers. I'm not putting all lawyers down. I'm saying there's a group of lawyers that does this, and they look for this. They're just waiting for it. Oh, great. Did someone say or do something that could anyway be considered as bad? Boom, lawsuit, and now you're hammered. So I agree with you, James. Do it anyway. You just have to. Otherwise you can't survive. The states are making small businesses be punished so bad. That's one of the reasons why people live in New York State. There's a attrition of businesses leaving New York State. This is one of the reasons. It's very hard to be a small business owner in New York State. And what happens is insurance becomes so expensive, you can't work and you can't compete. So, yep, can't do business in California. Exactly. Can't do business in New York either. People leave all the time. They can't do business. I know people who literally run their business out of Pennsylvania and then work in New York because they can't survive doing business in New York. So New York doesn't get the revenue, so it punishes everyone else who's there because it lost revenue. It doesn't make its laws better. It just increases punishment. California, same thing. So, yes, Boomer, how about we make people feel less scared? Yes. Guys, if you've watched me consistently, I go out of my way not to scream rhetoric, but I go out of my way to actually give you real ideas, real plans, because what makes people feel less scared is a plan. It makes you feel less scared, right? If I just go, we're going to end this, people go, what? Then what will happen? I go, we're not going to end it. Here's what we're going to do. And they go, oh, that's a plan. I feel less scared. Boomer, the answer is more plans, more plans, more plans. Excuse me. I've suggested Jorgensen should look at your impressive social media presence for inspiration. Yes, again, if you notice, if those of you are watching my Facebook page, there's usually one Joe Jorgensen post every day. That's actually not me. That's her team. I've given them access to it. I'm supporting the candidate. They can do it. So, yes, I do try that. She just needs to be more visible. Yes, I agree. I agree with all these things. I hope that they will take your advantage of that. Some say social media is cost prohibitive for her. I completely disagree with that. I think you're totally right. You can make it grow tremendously. I totally agree. I mean, look at my social media when I do things has thousands of views every single time I do anything. Thousands of views every time. 100%. I totally agree. I miss shaking hands too, and I think I might anyway. Yep. I wrote an essay for college today on plea bargaining. What are your thoughts on this practice? I'll tell you what I want on plea bargaining. I'm gonna tell you, I'm relatively radical on this one. I'm not against plea bargaining at all. I'm not. I think if you want to bargain to plea, it's fine. The problem is here's what's actually happened. What happens is now people use plea bargaining. District attorneys and prosecutors use plea bargaining as a way of just convicting people and not having to go to trial. And I get that. Here's what I think you should do. If the DA says, I tell you what, Wyckoff, you pleaded this, this, and this, we'll give you 2 years, whatever the case may be. Good. If you agree or disagree, whatever that prosecutor says, that now is what they must ask for if you go to trial. I'm not joking. They must ask for that if you go to trial. That would change everything. Now, the logic is, well, Larry, they're saving taxpayer money, so that's why they do it, to save taxpayer money and time. So justice is about taxpayer money and time? Maybe. Okay. But then if you as a prosecutor believe that Mr. Wyckoff, whatever you did is worthy of 2 years in jail, why does that 2 years become not worthy if you go to trial? And the response is, well, they're using the system. No, they pay for the system, and that's the rights as an American to get due process. You're punishing them for exercising their rights and using a system that they paid for via taxes, most of the time involuntarily. They paid for it via taxes involuntarily, and it's their right as an American. And so now when you go, and this is the norm, it's legal and judges believe it's fair and just. Oh, wait a minute, you went to court? Well, now you got to pay more. So what's your actual crime? Here's the problem. You know what your actual crime is? Heresy. I'm not joking. Your actual crime is heresy. How dare you doubt the system? How dare you make us go through the system? How dare you use your rights? For that, you will do 10 years and not 2. And how do I know that's true? Because Wyckoff, when they arrested you, they said it was 2 years. What's changed? Did you do anything differently? No. The thing you did was the same thing you did. And the prosecutor said he'll give you 2 years for it. Now you go through the process, and the judge goes, you get more. But it gets worse than that. Some of you don't know this. If you testify on your behalf and you say, I didn't do it, and you go and testify, if you testify, the judge can decide because you testified and because the jury convicted you that you lied, and they can now give you more time. More time. So you plead, you get 2 years. You go to court, you get 12. You did the same thing. Only difference is, how dare you fight the system? That's what it is, Wyckoff. That's what's happened. What's happened is plea bargaining has become the how dare you fight the system. It is a system in its largesse saying, look, if we've arrested you, obviously you're guilty. If the cops say you're guilty, obviously you're guilty. So we, in our wisdom and in our, being magnanimous, we're going to allow you to only have 2 years if you just confess your sins, and you can get 2 years. Oh, you won't confess your sins? Heretic. More time. That's what it's become. Plea bargaining, if you make it to where 2 years or whatever the person says, that's what they must ask for. Change everything. Make that happen. But Larry, if you do that, then we can't get people to the system. The system will be overloaded. Yeah, that's the reason to end the drug war, isn't it? Plea bargaining came out heavily because of the drug war. There were so many people being arrested, the system can't handle it. Well, good. Good. Make that the system. Less people will actually do it. Less people will actually do it. You have to end the drug war. You won't be able to physically put people through the system because there are rules on how long, what's a speedy trial, because it's a speedy trial, right? I forgot what the rules are. It's 6 months or 3 months or whatever it is. Will you be later than 3 months or 6 months? You're off. The system will collapse. So I'm glad you wrote on this. Hey, Larry, after the 2018 campaign, is there anything you could possibly implement in 2022 if you decided to grace us with another run? Yeah, more money. I need more money. I got to raise more money if I do it again. And this time I will. There are many people who didn't support me. And if you're a libertarian candidate running, you know how people say, I'll support you. And then time comes, they don't. And they don't often because they're burned out as a donor, or they're burned out as a volunteer, or they've just been disappointed so many times, they don't want to do it anymore. I showed people that I ran a real campaign. I would run another real campaign. And after that, many people said, wow, Larry, I really wish I had supported you. So I think I'll raise more money. Number one, I'll have more name recognition. Number two, there are more libertarians in New York State, more elected libertarians in New York State, more local. There are more local county affiliates in New York State. I'll have much more support if I run. So we have a really big chance of making a lot more impact, maybe even winning. So, and hopefully we can get some more lines. Even better, maybe we'll see if we can get more lines. I'm not sure if I take more lines, but I consider it Sam line, maybe. Maybe working families if they exist. You never know. We'll see. So yes, lots. All right. Let's see here. I have so many questions as a forensic social worker about de Blasio's funds going to social services. Don't know what that means. I agree. Yeah, that devil's in the details, Melissa. You're totally correct. I loved your deconstruction video in which you called out Candace Owens, who slammed George Floyd. Did you get a response from her yet? I don't think I will. Candace is very popular. I mean, super popular. I think her video got something like 20 million or 30 million views, a lot of views. Mine got like 60,000. So I big gap in views. I doubt. I've asked her to come on my show before. She doesn't respond, or at least her people don't. I don't know if she responds. I think I'm too small for her. I mean, she has a big presence, so I don't think she will respond to me. I'm happy to have her on. I'd go on her show if she has one. She'll probably have a Fox show soon, or maybe she'll be part of the Trump campaign. That'll probably happen if she goes up. So I think I'm too small for her, Todd. I'd love to have her on. Many of her people got mad and said, you never survived with her in debate. Yeah, they don't know me. That's not true. And I'd only debate her if she asked. I'd be nice to her if she got on. Have you guys ever seen me get mad if someone comes to my show? She comes to my show, I'll be nice to her. If any Candace people are watching, have her on. I'm happy to have her on. I'll be nice to her. I purchased stock during Corona. Yeah, not a bad idea, actually. I love that. Yes. How can we redirect the defund the police conversation from fear of anarchy to ending the drug war and better addressing society ills without resorting to prohibition and law enforcement? Yeah, I think again, it's having an actual plan. That's why I tried the plan of the quick QICC, right? That 4-phase plan, I think, is a good plan. People seem to like it. People are talking about it. There are signs about it now. I think people enjoy that concept of here's a plan. That's what I think is the most important piece. Having that plan that people can understand. If you're going to defund the police, okay, then what, right? And the sad part is many libertarians kind of understand what will happen. The average American has no idea. No idea. And they're accustomed to having a police force. They don't understand the origin of the police force. They don't understand how it works. They don't get the drug war. They don't understand these things. The average American who doesn't like this idea or doesn't want to change the police force isn't a bad person. Some are, but the average American isn't. They just don't know, and that not knowing makes them afraid. So I think the answer is, what do we do? How do we work this, right? Do we change and shift? One of the biggest things cops will even say, everyone would say this, we've told our police force and our justice system to handle tons of problems it shouldn't handle, right? Cops and our justice system shouldn't be handling people with mental illness, shouldn't be handling, pulling kids out of homes when there's problems with the family, shouldn't be handling family law issues at all, shouldn't be handling the homeless problem. Cops shouldn't be handling that. And now we make it to where cops, and I'm not trying to be pro or anti-cop. I'm trying to be realistic. Cops have a very hard job. That's a fact. My father was in law enforcement. It's a difficult job. It's a stressful job, a difficult job, all kind of crazy stuff happening. You never know what's going to come at you. It's a tough job. So let's focus them on what they should be dealing with. Killers, rapists, thieves. Let's work on that. That's what they're trained for. Focus on that. There are other community assets that can deal with homeless people, family law, people with mental illness. Let's break that up. Way better. Everybody's happier. Everybody's happier. So I think planning again becomes the answer. I hope that was a decent answer. Excuse me. Whoa. All right. Thank you. I'm 100% right. Thank you. Good. The YouTube Larry trying to mention is at the Neil Says. Yes, those of you who want to, please go ahead. Yes. All right. The best way to turn an introvert into an extrovert, run for office. Yes, but actually, Joe, you're probably not an extrovert. You probably become what's called an ambivert, right? And the issue is, if you are an introvert, some of the best listeners, almost all of them are introverts, because the introvert, generally speaking, is now pondering what's being said when the extrovert is thinking about what should I say next. So generally speaking, introverts are better at pondering and listening, which means they're often also better at empathy, generally, not 100% true. Most of your best actors are actually introverts. When an introvert, if you look at, say, the level of excitement or energy, right, 0 to 10, an extrovert hovers around 7 or 8. I'm an extrovert, right? I hover around 7 or 8. So I can pop up to 10 when I need to, right? And some stimulus will bring me down or bring me up, but I tend to hover around 7 or 8. An introvert tends to hover around 3, 4, 2, hovers down there. Stimulate, a little bit up, depress, a little bit down, right? But when an introvert turns on, they go to 13. This is why some of the best actors are introverts, because they turn on and they almost become somebody else. Introverts also, because their empathy, can easily become somebody else because they can connect with that person. Extroverts struggle. The answer, though, is to become an ambivert, which is someone who can do both, who can listen well, but then still turn it on when they need to. That's an ambivert. And it's easier to go from introvert to ambivert than it is from extrovert to ambivert. I've tried my best to become an ambivert. I still am an extrovert, and I try hard to become that ambivert. And I've done it through actually reading books, talking, training to become a better ambivert. I'm a natural extrovert. Introverts are actually better at becoming ambiverts and are better at many things, except being showmen sometimes, right? A constant showman is the extrovert. The introvert goes on and off, and when they come off, they just almost recharge themselves alone. Hope that answers your question. So yes. All right. I should try Vernor's soda. All right. Next time I go off, I'll start doing that. Good. Is there a run for representative in your plans? No, I'm never going to do that. I'm never going to run for Congress or Senate ever. It's not who I am. I am not a guy who goes on a commission or who goes on a committee or does that. That's not who I am. I'm an executive. That's who I am. I will only run for executive positions. Mayor, governor, president, vice president. I only run for executive positions. That's all I run for. So I will never be running for representative. And it is my opinion that you as a person, if you want to be a candidate, you should stick to one type of run. Either run as a representative / congressperson, assembly person, city council, or run for a county executive, mayor, governor. Executive positions are different. The executive sets the tone. The executive has a team who understands the details of things. They are the mouthpiece more than anything else. But the congressperson and the assembly person, they're much more hands-on and they're much more getting things done. The executive actually isn't. The executive actually motivates others to get things done. It's a different mindset. It's a different way of looking at things. I'm an executive. So that's why I would never run for representative. I'd never run for Senate. It's not even in my, never do it. It would be a lie. It's not who I am. I would not be a good senator or a good congressman. I'd be a good mayor, governor, president. Yes, as the executive role, county executive. That's what I've done in the past. I'm good at that. That's what I would do. I hope I answered your question. Good. Yeah, if they defund the police, does that mean taxpayers see a refund? Yeah, William, you know that answer, don't you? I do too. Yeah, 100%. Yes. Hold on. Thoughts on Minneapolis defunding the police? I live in rural Minnesota, population 8,000. We have local sheriffs that assisted with the riots and have stated that they won't help again. Whoa, that's an issue. Wow. Okay. All right. Are you planning a South Florida visit anytime soon? Live in Broward County. I'm the vice chair. Would love to have. Yes, I actually am. I hope to be in Florida, assuming that we have it's not really South Florida, is it? It's Florida. I'll be in Orlando for the convention here in July, assuming it actually happens. I hope it does. I'll be there during that time. I'll be staying there for a bit. So I'll be there for a while. So absolutely reach out and I'll see if I can do a couple of Florida stops. Happy to do so. Happy to. All right. Is there a way to demilitarize the police without deeply defunding the police, or is it all or nothing? See, thank you, Helen. I don't want all or nothing. If you notice what I mentioned in my plan, end qualified immunity, right? Which means cops will begin to rethink things, have them cover their own insurance. Now, all of a sudden, and I had a former cop on, New York City cop on last Friday, Adam Nutter, and he actually said it. He said, the cops always think, I don't care if something goes wrong, I'm not paying for it. He said they actually think that and say that. I'm not paying for it. The city's paying for it. I'm not paying for it. Cities drop hundreds of millions of dollars on bad cops paying off things they do every year. Hundreds of millions every year. So if we first end qualified immunity, then have them cover their own insurance, then things will change. Things will begin to change. Now, end the war on drugs and civil asset forfeiture, and then the money doesn't come in. Well, then there's no reason to demilitarize. To militarize. This stuff won't get used. You don't have to. It'll eventually be worthless. You just throw it out, get rid of it, or ship it over to some other country, have civilians buy it, whatever. It'll begin to go away. But there's a second piece to this, Helen. And in the drug war is one, and in the war on poverty is another one, but also ending all the unnecessary wars, ending the military-industrial complex. You have to end the military-industrial complex. I know many libertarians just go, bring all the troops home, shut the bases down, all that stuff, which is great. I'm in. One problem. The military-industrial complex is a massive jobs program. That's what it is. So how do you not destabilize our economy, which is already destroyed? How do you put literally 1 million, 2 million people into the economy with no jobs to absorb them? And the response is, well, the money we save goes to the economy. Does it? Or does it go into foreigners? Does it go into other countries? Where does it go? I don't know if it comes to us or not. In theory, it does. But does it in reality? I don't know. Well, if we cut taxes, then the companies might just buy back their own stock or invest in factories in Vietnam. They might not put any money back into the country. I don't know that. Right? So here's what we do instead. We begin immediately. Two-prong. End of poverty and drugs. Number one, quick QICC. That's internal. External. We begin to take all of our enemies and make them trading partners. I'm very serious here. Very serious. We have an example of this, by the way. It's called Vietnam. We dropped more bombs in Vietnam than we dropped in Germany in World War II. We dropped more bombs on Vietnam. 10 years of dropping bombs on Vietnam, killed millions of Vietnamese, Laotians, Cambodians, combine them all, I think 2 million deaths, something like that. Some massive amount of number of dead. Then we walked away, literally got in our helicopters and left. 10 years, 20 years later, trading partners. We trade with Vietnam now. Yeah. So I have an idea. Let's turn Cuba, North Korea, Iran, trading partners. All of them. Start trading. Why? Well, now all the people who've been over there, all those CIA assets, all those people, all the military people who've been in foreign countries, they now become important assets because they feel comfortable living in foreign countries. Great. Now you don't work for the government anymore. You work for company X or company Y or whatever, Amazon or whatever company. And now you're the liaison in those companies. So the people start coming home, those in the State Department, those in the military industrial complex, now start going to those countries, and start shipping stuff back and forth. Now the people who are making bombs and tanks and Humvees can make whatever these countries want instead. The factories retool and make whatever they want. Maybe they still want those same tanks. I don't know, whatever. But then we can sell there. So you do that. You begin to break down the military industrial complex by ending the wars immediately, bringing those troops home right away, and then every single base phases out as we start shipping those people into other countries, the jobs we build here in the United States. That's how we deal with that issue. So yes, you can. It just isn't 5 minutes. It's about a 5 to 10 year plan, but it absolutely can work. What was your MOS in the Marine Corps? I was first in 08. I was in 0844, and I became an 02 in my second tour. 08 is artillery. See the pieces there? I was 0844, and sometimes just not purposefully, but just assigned to become an 0861, which is a forward observer, right? Sometimes I was sent out there a couple times with the infantry to be an observer, but that was rare. Once in a while, so I was 0844, and then temporarily in 0861, and also I was in 02. So both of those. All right, and I spent time on the ground side and also in the air wing, both. All right, it's gonna be quite a social experiment. Don't know what that means. Hi, Larry. If Joe Jorgensen were to get elected president, is her idea of abolishing the ATF realistically something that could happen? Sure, it could happen. My worry is right now in America, do people even care? It's not a big issue right now. It's a nice issue. I agree with it, but is anyone going to hear that? I don't think Americans care about the ATF right now. They're worried more about the average cop in front of them, and they care more about the economy and the fear of China and the fear of Russia. I don't think Americans really care about the ATF right now. I think it's a great idea. I love the idea. The issue is if you get rid of the ATF, which you should, the question is, who enforces these laws? I hope no one. Right? So I think to be realistic, you've got to say you're not going to enforce these laws, right? As president, you've got to say you're not going to enforce these laws on alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. That becomes more difficult, but you can do that. If you do that first, the ATF can be defunded. And if it's defunded, that's how it goes away. So you have to say, I'm not going to enforce it, and then defund it, it goes away. I guess in theory, you could simply take the ATF personnel and redistribute them someplace else, right? You do that instead. Simply refuse to hire new people. Do that also. Not authorize any more hiring. There's many ways you could do it. I think you could. I don't think it happens overnight. You have unions. You have people in Congress who think this is the greatest thing in the world, and we've got to keep, destroying Waco or whoever we want to blow up next, whatever. So I think you have a lot of people in Congress who want that to happen and are happy to have it happen. And again, it's a jobs program, right? How many people work for the ATF? Thousands, I'm sure, right? So again, the thing to remember whenever we talk about just abolishing things, what the government is at its core is two things. One, it's a monopoly of force, number one. Number two, a massive jobs program. Let's not forget that. It's a massive jobs program. And if Biden wins the election, it will be even a more massive job because he will go back to the FDR idea of make work. That's what he wants. So it will be even bigger. Right now, about 1 in 7 American, maybe 1 in 6 works for the government. If Biden wins, it'll be 1 in 5. So it's a massive jobs program. So abolish all these things. You're putting millions of people out of work, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but you just have to have a way of doing that. And I think that's how you start. Okay. I hope someday I get a chance to vote for you. Thank you. Hey, Warren, how are you, brother? I haven't seen you in a long time. Hope so. What would you do to bring healthcare workers back to New York? I left because Cuomo and taxes and lack of pay. Yeah, right. The number one thing you want to do if you want to bring health workers back, two things. Number one, end the idea of certificates of need. What that means, those who may not know this, if you want to build a medical facility in New York State, and most states, not just New York State, the government has to say, yes, this is, you can build it here or build it there. End that. Or you can't really end it because then people will stop it. You just make it as governor, you tell the organizations every single certificate of need, no matter what, is a yes. No matter what. It's a rubber stamp. Yep. But Larry, what if they build a hospital someplace you don't need to? Then it'll go out of business. So? Well, what if there's 3 hospitals in one city? They'll make money that city needs 3 hospitals. So? But Larry, this will never work. Look right next to it. Look at the actual medical community of essential medical medicine, and then right next to it is non-essential medicine. LASIK eye surgery, cosmetic dentistry, body enhancements. There's no significant need for them. Somehow they survive. They figured out where their need is, and they put a facility up. Well, Larry, it isn't the same. Yes, it is. People go under anesthesia. They cut into your body. They give, yes. They give you medicine. Yeah, same stuff. And somehow there's not massive deaths and problems. No, number one. Number two, end the law in New York State that says if you're not licensed in New York State, that you can't practice in New York State, which is so insanely dumb. That should end. So wherever you're licensed, come on back. So come on back, build where you want to build, work where you want to work, do what you want to do. Give them freedom. That's the answer. All right. Not only do I find Larry uplifting, but his fellow fans are too. Yay. We are rocking and rolling. I love that. I love that. Thank you so much. All right. I'm trying to grab everyone that can possibly grab here. Will you run again for governor? Probably yes, but maybe not. Probably yes. Yes. Dispatchers are assholes. Some of them are. I know. Some of them are. So you got to be a better one. It's true. Some of them are. Well, the stress. Look, dispatcher is not an easy job, man. I'm just being clear. I've dealt with dispatchers too. It's not an easy job. I filled in like twice as dispatcher, and it can be a pain. I get it. However, if more of the truckers are AI, it won't be as hard. It'll be much more technical. If that makes sense. And you maybe will probably have some local people for inspection stations where the truck drives in, the driver gets in, drives with it for a couple of weeks, a couple of miles, a couple of days, depending on where it's going, right? How long it takes. Then gets out. So you have that kind of thing. So that'll be where your challenge will be. When do you bring the human driver in? When do you pull a human driver out? How do you inspect? It'll be a lot of technical things. But yes, some are. It's true. But yeah. So, all right. I've been a member of the Libertarian Board for 4 years. I've never been more frustrated when I go on a Libertarian social media site, including yours and Joe's. It feels there are more negative comments coming from conservatives or Trump fans towards our party and candidates. Do you see the same thing? And what do you think it is? Yes, I think it's true, Matt. I think there's a lot of negativity. Whenever people run, I always tell them, remember, when you first begin to run, your biggest enemies will be other libertarians. That's the first thing. Libertarians get so mad when you aren't their type of libertarian. Whatever their type of libertarian is, you're not that. You're clearly evil. And then they feel like you backstabbed them somehow and they're mean to you. That's true. But there's something else. There are a bunch of people who think they're libertarian or are called libertarian or self-identify as libertarians who actually aren't libertarians, who are either Democrats, Republicans, heavily Republican more than Democrats, I think. I think more Republicans self-identify as libertarian than Democrats do when they aren't, right? So that means they're really Republicans, which means many of them support Trump. So when you actually go, oh, Joe, no, Trump is far better. And they'll say things like the most libertarian president ever. That goes against their grain. That's why they're attacking it so aggressive. Remember, in the two-party system, Republican Democrat system, it actually makes sense to do attack ads. Because if you attack the person and call them names and burn them down, it's very easy for people to go, oh, yeah, let's vote for the other guy. Third party doesn't always work. It happened in New York State when I was running. There were some attacks. There were some attacks that came out of Western New York on me. Oh, Larry's a Cuomo plant. That kind of thing came out. That actually didn't hurt that much because I was such an unknown that the people who actually saw that and go, what? Is Larry is Larry some kind of Cuomo plant or Democratic plant? What's going on here? Those people who researched me, some of them went, "Oh, I like this guy." So they actually brought people to me. So while I lost some harder core Republicans who thought, "Oh, I believe this plant thing, this plant idea," new people came in too. So actually it was about it was a net gain for me. And that's why they stopped it, because it wasn't working. So I do think it happens. It's very common. I see it all the time. I see it happen on my page all the time. You see the insults I get? Constantly. Insulted, angry, mad, all the time. We can't stop. We keep going. We move past it and be as inviting as we can be. So, I used to play chess when I was younger. My friends would play me when I was older, but I hated losing most of the time. Yeah, I stopped playing when my father died. My father died when I was 12, and I beat him when I was 11, and then he died at 12, and I really stopped playing. I played because of him, and when he died, I stopped because he really enjoyed chess. So I hardly ever play anymore. I taught my daughters how to play. I can play like that, but I'm nowhere near a caliber of being able to be a chess master. Not even close. So, yes, I think you do have a pivot. I think you do. So I hope you can make that happen. Yes. Let's see. I am trying to preach, Wesley. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. When drugs are legalized, they can become medical use, not criminal. Allows recovery if desired. Yeah, I agree. I think we do want to. I don't think the country is ready for the meth and heroin legalization, even though it absolutely should. I'm not sure the country's ready. So what I always say is a plan, right? And my plan is, number one thing, first step, pull cannabis off Schedule 1. Excuse me, do that first. You pull cannabis off of Schedule 1, we will begin to do more medical experiences, more medical experiments with cannabis. We'll create more cannabis products. You will find the other problems begin to lessen by default as people choose safer drugs and as people use cannabis as a way of getting off of the drugs. When the population sees that and goes, oh, this is actually pretty good. This is working. We have less addicts, less problems, less crime, happier people. Better farmers, more prosperous farmers. What else does Larry Sharpe want? Well, why don't we legalize opioids now? Okay, let's try that one. And then we keep going. And as we make safer drugs, what most people don't get is meth really comes because of the government. And that drives people crazy when I say it. The government is the problem for meth. Why? The government has made all the other drugs so expensive and then allowed the doctors to prescribe, addictive opioids to our population by lying and saying it wasn't addictive, and then taking it back by punishing doctors so that people can't get the drug. There's meth. It's cheap. It's an opioid. It fills the gap, and people can make it without needing doctors. That was basically the government created a hole in the market, and the market did what it always does. It found an answer, a horrible answer. So government should have walked away from that one. Excuse me. They have made many needed pain drugs super hard to get. I just mentioned that. Yes. What goes those people then do, or what do the people do? I guess they have to go underground. Of course, exactly right, Gene. Yes, that's what I mean. 100%. Let's see. I'm moving on. Thank you. Yes, we'll personally pack up all of your stuff and move you to Iowa. Thank you. So when you move in, I actually love Iowa. I say it all the time. Iowa is, of all the LPs, state LPs, Iowa's my favorite. And I've said it before publicly. Iowa's amazing. You guys are awesome. I love Iowa. So if I move, maybe I'll move to Iowa one day. My wife doesn't like the snow, though. I know it snows in Iowa. It snows in New York, too, but then she wants to go down south somewhere. I don't know where. I guess I'm going to Florida. I need to go to Broward County. See, I'm coming anyway, after all. Anyway. All right. I had an ex who had to do methadone because of heroin. She almost burned down my house by falling asleep with a cigarette in her hand. Yeah, I know. Methadone sadly doesn't work as well, and it's basically another opioid. It's not the cannabis issue, but I get it. It is another way of finding that answer. Dealt with that already. When are you going to be governor? Maybe 2023, Melissa. Let's hope. Let's hope. Yes. You will never force change on anyone. Yep, absolutely. 100% yes. 100% yes. Excuse me. Hey, Larry, no questions. I'll let you know I appreciate the open-minded discussions. I'm trying, brother. I'm trying. What will be next? I assume you mean after cannabis. I think we look at the world, right? We look at what's happening. We look at what's happening. My assumption is, and I don't know this to be true, I'm assuming if we take cannabis off of Schedule 1, my assumption is a lot of the cheaper, more devastating drugs will really lessen, like meth and crack. I think many of those will really shrink tremendously. That's my gut. I think that will happen because cannabis will be a cheaper, safer alternative, and a way of dealing with withdrawal symptoms. And most people who are on meth that I know of, right? I do know of many addicts. I know a couple addicts personally. They don't want to be on meth, right? They know they're on meth. They don't want to be on meth. They just feel like there's no way of getting rid of the withdrawal and the pain desire to have meth, and they feel helpless. So I think if we have cannabis products to stop that, there'll be a lot less people on the tough drugs like meth and heroin. I think a lot of that, not all obviously, but a lot of that will go away. I think the next step will be some safer drug like cocaine or something like that, which cocaine is a relatively safe drug. It's why it's so expensive. It's a relatively safe drug and actually less addictive than many of the things like heroin and meth. I think something like that will probably be legal again, or some safe form of that will be legalized next, my assumption. And then that will probably get rid of almost all of meth and heroin will begin to go away because you'll have a cannabis option and a safe opioid option. That should hopefully again will be less addictive because there'll be a want for that and the market will fill that. That's what I think will happen. I can't be sure though. That's why I say let's do cannabis first and see what happens. But let's make a step. Let's make a step. Competing private security firms. That could also work, right? Insurance policy or subscription. Absolutely could work, yes. That's absolutely an answer for that, 100%. Community and spirituality. And often community and spirituality are linked, right? We often find that people gain that spirituality from their community or join, spiritual groups, whether they're churches, temples, meditation groups, whatever that is, right? They often join that to get community. A lot of people find community and spirituality interlinked. Yes, the more we have it, the better. And the government's phased that out. An example I'll give you is two examples. One of them is childcare. If you go back 20, 30 years, 40 years, many local churches had childcare. It was a common thing they had. They were basically regulated out of business because the government made regulations on childcare to where the churches couldn't afford it. So then it became a profession. So we lost community because of that. And it became now a franchise, basically. We lost community, we lost spirituality. It's true. Now, do I think we shouldn't have childcare? Of course we should, if you want to. I'm not against it. If you like that idea, please service your local childcare facility. But why can't we also have what I call child gardens? And when I ran for governor, I brought that up. A garden is any nonprofit that wants to take your child upon agreement. Make an agreement. If you want local church to keep it, they can. It's a cheaper form of childcare that could kind of revitalize local temples, local VFWs, local churches, insert thing here. Absolutely. All right. I've had too many people tell me drugs have a victim and they give the robbing example. I try to tell them robbing is a crime and they think they got me. I'll use your example of removing the drug issue from it and showing that it's still a crime. Even yes. Yep. I don't care why they rob you, Joe. However they rob you, crime. How they rob you, crime. Yep. So that doesn't change. What changes, a cop pulls you over. You have 3 joints in your pocket. Now you won't go to jail. Now, if you stole those 3 joints from Joe, you go to jail because you stole 3 joints. But if you bought them from Joe, not saying you sell Joe, just saying, if you bought them from Joe, that's not a crime. You bought them. All good. All right. Trump supporters, I know, are holding strong with Trump. Very much a he can do no wrong attitude. Yeah, there's a lot of that. And I think a lot of that is our problem, right? And we did this as a culture, right? As a culture, what happened was, and I brought this up before, but it's clear for us. I want us to understand this. He's talking to people, right? In 2016, there was a group of people, maybe 20%, I'm making the number up, who really thought Trump was awesome and they wanted to vote for him. Another group of people, maybe 20% or so, who thought Hillary Clinton was awesome and wanted to vote for her. But there were a bunch of people in the middle who simply leaned one way or the other, right? Either they liked Trump more than Hillary or just didn't like Hillary, or the reverse, who liked Hillary more than Trump or just didn't like Trump. So they voted that way. And we as society put everybody in the same bin. And since Trump won, everyone on the left or the middle said, oh, you Trump supporters are, and gave them the horrible name of racist and evil and dumb and backwoods and blah, 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 blah. So now these people who voted for Trump are all like, oh, you're going to call me that? I'm all that? All right, then. Yeah, I am that. And he is the God King. And that's what happened. It was their response to our attacks upon them. And many of them weren't fervent Trump supporters to start with. They either didn't like Hillary or just leaned Trump. Now they're all together. So they've doubled down. Now that they've decided that this is who they are, then now this is who they are, and they will double and triple down. This goes back to the same idea of Santa Claus, right? Do you want to accept that Santa Claus doesn't exist when you're a kid? You don't want to accept it. It sucks. Why would they want to accept that Trump isn't the God King that they've decided he is? It's difficult. So I think many of them have done that. But it's something else too. The left has been so vilified by many people also. Again, it's not just left attacking the right. The right attacks the left. The right vilifies the left like all they want to do is destroy America, and that's all they care about is destroying America. Well, if you love your country, and you've been told for the past 4 years, at least if not the past 40 years, that all Democrats want to do is destroy your country, of course you'd rather support Trump. Of course you would. Our job as libertarians is to show there's a third way. And we have not been that good at that, sadly. Yes. All right. Let's see. It's good to see W. Bush and Romney say they won't be supporting Trump in the election. Yeah, this is a thing that why I say this is a real die roll here. I don't know what's going to happen, right? When establishment Republicans go against Trump in 2016, it did not work. It failed miserably. I don't know if it will happen this time. The polling right now is not in favor of Trump. But again, we've got 4 months left, 5 months left. I don't know what that means. It's really hard it's hard to know. And again, while I'm glad Bush and Romney are saying, yeah, no Trump, awesome, but are they going Biden? If they're going Joe Jorgensen, I'm good. If they're going Biden, So, yes. With several Republicans serving generals and admirals announcing Trump's authoritarian actions, many Republicans, such as Colin Powell, are openly endorsing Biden. Anti-authoritarian libertarians may join. I agree with this concept. I think it's true. Roy's right. The issue is that we're, as libertarians, we're failing because we're not getting Joe Jorgensen out there for Colin Powell to back. They're just backing. They're saying never. They're becoming never Trumpers, and that assumption is the only person who can beat Trump is Biden, and that's why he's doing it. Remember, I mentioned earlier in this talk, the biggest mistake that Trump made when it came to this was his concept of bringing the 82nd Airborne into D.C. That was a bridge too far for a lot of generals. That's a bridge too far. I'm glad he backed off. He did. Trump did back off. He sent them back home. They never actually entered the city. He sent the 82nd Airborne back. Presidents should never send elite forces into our cities against us. That is a terrible idea. I'm glad he backed off. And that's, Roy, one of the reasons. There are many reasons. That's one of the reasons. That for many was like a tipping point. When he was like, yeah, let's bring 87. And that happened a while ago. They actually came in a couple days ago. But he talked about it days before that. Let's just bring the military in. Generals don't like that. They don't like that. And I'm glad. They shouldn't like that. The 82nd Airborne is to be used on foreign soil against her enemies, not against us. That is a terrible idea. So, yes. Would they be parachuting off rooftops? Maybe. I hope not. The reality of it is, the 82nd Airborne, again, they're not the elite, but they are an elite force in our military. I don't want them policing the cities, the streets of our cities. That's not what they should be doing. They should be fighting in Afghanistan or wherever we're going to be fighting. Well, they probably shouldn't be fighting there either. But they should have gone in and gotten bin Laden, right? That's the kind of thing the 82nd Airborne should be doing. Going in, getting bin Laden, and getting out. That kind of stuff. 100%. Do that. That's what I want. Yes. So, defund the mayor of New York City and governor of New York. Well done, Andrew. Yeah, let's do that. I like that idea. I love that. That's good. All right. If Uber becomes my employer, then that means they can tell me when to work and which rides to take. No thanks. That's exactly correct, Aaron. Yes. What they've been trying to do in California, New York is protect the worker. What they're actually doing is destroying the gig economy. Gig economy is the only way not the only way, but the major way that our youth gets into the workforce now. It's a major way. And I'm going to say something that's going to make many of you sad, but it's often true. If you're over 50 and you've lost your job in America, you are in a very tough spot. The age discrimination in America today is some of the worst I've seen in 20 years. It's horrible. There's terrible age discrimination. It's been bad for at least 10 years, but it's really bad now. After the crash 2008, oh my God, worse than it's ever been. Just terrible age discrimination. And because of that, a lot of people who are over 50, the gig economy is how they get back into how they learn something new, get a new job, become a consultant, all those things. And when you try to save the worker, which is what they're trying to do, all they wind up doing is making sure the gig economy goes away. So what are they doing? They're helping big business. This is actually helping big business and traditional jobs, which is not a bad thing, meaning traditional jobs aren't a bad thing, but destroying the gig economy is a problem. This is the same idea as governments picking winners and losers. Let the economy work as it will work. There is a place for government workers. There is a place for gig economy. There's a place for traditional workers. There's a place for contractors. There's a place for entrepreneurs. There's a place for franchise owners. There's a place for all of that in the economy, and we should let the economy find the balance and move and shift as it does. As the government moves in, it just makes things worse. Aaron, you are correct. You're going to find Uber begin to suffer, and then all of a sudden now medallions have a problem, and then it's always a trickle-down effect. Let the economy work on its own. It will. There's a spot for all different types of employers and workers and employees in our economy. So, thoughts on qualified immunity? Already did that one. If you want to have a look at that one, I think it was last week. Was it? I think it was last Monday. Was it? Last Tuesday? I forgot when I did it. Covered. No. Yeah, Monday. I forgot when I did it. Anyway, look, you can see I gave the whole idea on everything. I think it was sorry, it was Sunday. Thank you. Last Sunday. Did it last Sunday. Good. All right. Let's see. If defunding the police won't help, will there be some compromise between with the police, the neighborhood watch, militia, and private police? I hope so, Ed. I mean, I think the idea. I don't think we're going to defund the police. I don't think America will do that. But I'm not upset with the movement, because the movement shows how frustrated people are, so that maybe there can be a compromise. At one point, police unions have to be able to be put under control in some way, shape, or form. They're very powerful. I'm not against unions. I'm against unions that are monopolies and that crush things. I'm against all monopolies, government included. So at one point, that's going to happen. And I think the only way we do that is by the threat of defunding the police. I don't think we are. I don't think America is ready to go there. We love our cops. I mean, America, you've seen the responses to this. A lot of Americans are like, well, he was resisting, so he deserved to die. You're hearing a whole lot of that. So I think Americans in general really love our police. So I don't think we're going to defund them. But I like the movement because it lets people know, no, you're going to change. You're going to change. Something's going to change. That's why I like that piece. Hi from France. Bonjour. Bonjour. Yes. So I will stalk you until you address Cuomo's immunity clause given to nursing home / hospital exits in April 2020. All right. I will do a specific thing on that, just for you. You can stop stalking. I'll figure it out, and I'll do a special thing on that. Probably either tomorrow when I do my next last weekend today, or I'll do it next Monday. Either one. All right. Well, it took me 5 years to get a job back with a like my family. Oh, okay, gotcha. My value just went up. They know I'm not interested in making a government claim. Oh, I like that. Good. All right. Would you like to be interviewed by Ben Shapiro? Sure. Happy to be on the show. I think Ben Shapiro's fine. Happy to talk to him. I'm sure he'll beat me. I think he's a Trump supporter. I think he is. So I'm sure he'll get mad at me and say libertarians are bad or whatever. That's fine. I've been beaten up before. Happy to. If you have a connection, please. Happy to either have him on my show or go on his show. Anything. Go ahead, Todd. Hook me up. Happy to do that. Yes. All right. If I can. Hold on. Let's see if I can do this. Any chance you'll make another run at governor? I think yes. As I mentioned, probably will. All right. Thank you. All right. Republicans / Trump fans relinquish libertarian values in favor of authoritarianism and treating different Americans differently based upon color, religion, etc. I do think that often happens. I think a lot of Trump supporting libertarians, what you'll find often is they support libertarian views until Trump wants to use force. Then they tend to, that's when they waffle. That's when they waffle. Like they'll go, no, I'm libertarian and he's in libertarian things. And, I know I'm Trump supporter, but I'm libertarian. And then Trump will go, my authority is total. And they'll go, yep. Whoa, what happened to libertarian? Where'd that go? Out the window. Or Trump will go, yeah, take the guns and do, and do due process later. And they go, yep, that's right. So I think you're totally right. I think many of them, not all, that I don't want to broad brush too much, but it's pretty wide brush, as I would say. Many libertarian Trump supporters will abandon their libertarian values when Trump decides, I'm doing it. But they tend to do it only for Trump. And so I think there is almost a cult of personality there, because they will often do it only for Trump. Like if someone else does it, bad, evil, authoritarian. Yeah, but Trump, here's the reason why it's okay for Trump. I think that often happens. Yes, no due process unless you have money. It's true also. Yeah, absolutely. Also true. Yes. All right. Let's see here. We need DA offices reform more than police reform, or at least they're equally overarching. Totally agree. I had Vinu Varghese on my show last year. He's a very popular and savvy, renowned criminal defense attorney here in New York City. And he really opened my eyes to this, right? As someone who, hasn't dealt directly with that part, understanding that part as he has. He's been a part of the DA. He was ADA and also a defense attorney. He's been both. So he was going to really open my eyes to that, saying, you know what the DAs want to prosecute affects what the cops, what arrests the cops make. What the DA says and wants to go forward affects how the cops go forward. What the DA goes, nah, I'm not going to touch, affects what the cops do. You're totally right. And most people don't get that. They think, well, it's the bad police chief. And it is sometimes that too. I don't want to say it's not the police chief's issue. It is that too. Also the mayor or your county executive, right? Do they want to be tough on crime? Is that what they want, right? Do they want that kind of thing? And then go cops, crack skulls. And then they get mad. We get mad at the cops when the mayor told them to go crack skulls. So I think you're right. It's all of that. Absolutely. All right. The king is more popular than ever. I know. I think, again, when people are afraid, they want someone who they think cares. And I think that's what matters, right? I think that's what happens. Yes. Yeah. Look, 43% of all the people who've died from COVID came out of nursing homes. Nursing homes. It was a huge issue. And Cuomo, was like, whatever, go back in, and boom. Oh my God, a lot of problems with that. A lot of problems with that. Yes, 80% were senior citizens, and 43% came out of nursing homes. Yeah, it's a problem. She has a PragerU podcast. Yeah, well, maybe she'll have me on. We'll see. I hope so. Larry Sharpe is Mr. Nice Guy. Look at me. I love that. Not always, but I try to. Yes. I think you should guest on the Andrew Clavin show. Gave Candace Owens his jumpstart to her political career. Oh, do you happen to know somebody? Maybe I should do that. If someone's watching, send a note. Happy to either have them on or for them to come on. For me to go on. Happy either way. Yes. Yes. I'd like to mention that a good portion of police dedicated to revenue streams. Absolutely. This is traffic tickets, civil asset forfeiture. Yes, absolutely. And using law enforcement as a profit center, in my view, is immoral and unethical. You should not do that, right? And how to deal with that? It's actually relatively simple at a local level. Civil asset forfeiture and or traffic tickets and or fines or fees, you simply cap how much can be taken in every given year or month or whatever the case may be. Sake of argument, $1,000 a month is all you can take. That's it. Everything else goes back to the community. Well, then why would you do that? There's no pressure at that point for the cops to write tickets. So when the cops write tickets, when they should write tickets, right? Again, I had that cop on, former NYPD guy on last week. And he said, Larry, what I want to write a ticket for? I said, what? He was like, blowing us a red light. That's dangerous. You speed through a red light, people could die. Give that guy a ticket. I'm like, you know what? Fine. If that's what we're giving tickets, I'm in. Let's do that. There's a potential victim there, right? You're blowing through red lights. Boom. I got it. That guy gets a ticket. So fine. I'm totally okay with that. So I think, Samuel, how you deal with that is you cap how much money any given area can take. That's it. They can only take $1,000 or whatever the number is, right? So that you don't want cops to never write tickets. You do want them to write tickets that, will make your community safer. But as long as you're doing the second piece, which is not judging the community, the cops, by the number of arrests or the number of tickets. And we often do that, right? If you judge the effectiveness of your police force by the number of tickets they write or by the number of arrests they make, they're going to write tickets to arrest people because that's how you judge them. But if you instead judge them by, say, as an example, literally some type of Yelp review, it'd be a different system, obviously, but do the people believe that their community is safe and prosperous and being protected? If they believe it, we're good. If they don't, we're not. So if your local community says, give these guys tickets for running red lights all day long. We have kids in this community. Damn it, do it. Cops are doing it. Community's happy. Life is good. Write tickets all day long. The cops want it. The people want it. The community wants it. All good. But we need more money so that we can fund the new police cars. So let's make the taxpayers pay by writing tickets. I'm not okay with that. Not okay with that. So, am I bad? Don't piss me off. I gotta be good. I'm sorry. Did I get angry the other day? Okay. Yes. I've seen so many people coming out to support Joe Jorgensen. How do you think the election will go? As I mentioned, I think it's really a gamble. It really depends upon how many people. It depends on how everything, how the press and how the people believe the fault for all the things that are happening. So, Dan Halloran, my man, how are you, brother? Dan Halloran is a political prisoner. Should have never. You're the man. You are the man. Good to see you. Thank you. You keep me real. I gotta call you. We have to talk. We've talked soon. Thank you for watching. We've talked soon. All right. Yes, we pay for it somehow. Absolutely. Yes. Average Americans not knowing. Thanks, media and education system for dumbing down people. The education system and media system. The media is meant for one thing and one thing only: to be seen. That is their goal. Their goal isn't to educate you. Their goal isn't to make things right or clear. Their goal is to be seen. They are basically a reality show, and you need to watch. That's why, literally, if you go on CNN now, there's literally a body count. How many people are dying, right? So keep watching, and COVID and blah, blah, blah. So they're not trying to make you smart. They're trying to get you to watch. So whatever you can see that makes you watch, that's what they put on. That's what you do, right? And education is all about passing a test so that you can validate going to college. You can validate the entire system of loans and colleges and all those things. The education system is made to support the system, not to educate you. So that my youngest daughter, my two daughters tease me all the time. They go, Dad, you don't go to school anymore. How do you know stuff? And I'm like, I didn't know stuff when I was in school. I've been in school in literally decades. I've learned far more since I left school than when I was in school. So if you want to get educated, you will, through school or not. I'm not saying you can't get educated through school. You can. But if you don't want to be educated, you're not going to be educated. And if you want to be educated, you'll get educated, school or no school. You can use school as a tool to get educated or not. Yes, absolutely. The defund movement as it is now will get Trump reelected. Robert, again, it goes to my point of fear. I think if we start defunding police forces all over the place, and it could happen. I don't think America's ready for that, but it could happen. If they start doing that, I think you have a valid point. Fear will push people into Trump. Remember, when people are afraid in groups, they cry for one of two things. They cry for a strong man, or they cry for socialism, one or the other, whichever seems safer at the time. They beg for it. They go, please save us. If we start just defunding without ways of protecting our population, you have a valid point. It really could do that. And maybe, look, if you look at right-wing media right now, they're talking about defunding all day long because they think exactly how you think, Robert. They think, yep, if we push the defund thing, the right wins. And they might be right. They might be right. Yes. Will New York have to file for bankruptcy? Eventually, of course. And I spoke about this in 2018. If we don't fix our budget issues, default is the only answer for New York State. There's no way around it. We had, before COVID, we had a $400 billion debt. And before COVID, we had a $6 billion deficit. Now our deficit is about $60 billion. We've multiplied our deficit by 10 because of our self-inflicted wound by our horrible Governor Cuomo, our incompetent and broken and terrible human being, Governor Cuomo, that we have. It is a self-inflicted wound. We did it to ourselves. We now have a $60 billion deficit with $400 billion in debt. How do you ever pay that with a state that is losing over 100,000 people every single year, businesses flocking, a completely hostile business environment, a high tax and low opportunity state. There's no way of fixing that. And still a pension bomb that I spoke about in 2018. All you people think about getting a pension in the next 10 years, that's a fantasy. That's going away. And I told you that in 2018. I was the only one prepared to negotiate that away. The pension is going to be a huge chunk of our budget. He's going to cut it. I guarantee you. If you don't live in New York State, your pension's going away. You can go, oh, but it's in the Constitution. Here is what it is. I can hear it already. Because remember, what Cuomo always does, this is his MO constantly, talk righteous. And we got to help, and we're gonna, and we're great, and we're awesome. Then all of his plans fail. What am I supposed to do? This happened. This is where we are now. It's where we are now. We got to move forward. It's where we are now. That's what he always says. So he has terrible policies that are destined to fail. When they fail, he goes, well, here we are now. We got to move forward. That's been him for 10 years. So when this collapses and he's ready to put New York through default and bankruptcy, he's going to say, well, what are you going to do? It's COVID. I did the best I could do. Here we are now. And New Yorkers will go, yes, my Lord and King and Master. Yes, oh, thank you for destroying us. And the other half will leave the state. So I think there's, my view, no way around bankruptcy. If he's elected again in 2022, assuming we haven't already declared bankruptcy by then, my view is we can't declare bankruptcy until he wins in 2022. If he wins in 2022, once he takes over and it's his fourth term, yes, it'll be his fourth term. For those of you who don't know, we have no term limits in New York State, so he can be governor for 20 years. He will then decide to take us through bankruptcy because then the 4 years, he'll hope they're going to recover so he can then say he did it so well, and New Yorkers will buy that. Oh, thank you for beating us up so well, and then elect it again. So my assumption is that we will somehow default in 2023. That's my assumption. I don't see any way around it. How do you repair this? I don't know how you do. If I run for governor, I'll have a plan to repair this. I don't have one yet. I'm not running for governor, but I will have one, as I had one earlier. When we were in the garbage we were in before, I gave New Yorkers an actual plan that would have avoided COVID damage that we had now. I expressed how I would have fixed this a long time ago. Hopefully that I'll have another one by then. So good. Candace will interview you when you're the governor. Hey, B. Awesome. I love it. My husband just agreed to buy me a Sharpe Way shirt. Yay. I love it. He's trying to convert you to libertarian. I hope so, Alyssa. I would like that. I need more and more and more of them. Good. Yes. All right. Let's see here. I've never heard that before. I think I'm an ambivert. It's ambivert, like ambidextrous. Ambivert, probably completely killed in the spelling though. Yeah, it's ambivert. It's fine. Ambiverts tend to be the best salespeople as a general rule. They tend to be very good counselors and public speakers. They tend to be very good at those two things. Yes. All right. Thanks for your answer about Congress. How can we encourage our peers in the LP to run for local and federal offices? I hope I'm doing that. I mean, I'm trying my best, Andrew. I think it's a very important thing. I want more people in government to be libertarians. You see, I do this. I go live 3 times a week, sometimes 4, but usually 3 times a week. I go live with a local candidate running someplace, often in New York, but all across the country. And I do 45 minutes with that candidate to encourage them to have policies, to encourage them to talk about the libertarian views, to have other people show. Joe's been giving them money because he's watching. He's been giving them money. He's coming on too. Tim's been on already. Yep, he's already been on. So, I've been doing it often. I think we encourage them we want them to, by supporting them, and so they begin to learn and do it better and better and better. Yes. So I completely appreciate that you know who you are and your role. You're a great executive. Please run. Thank you. Yes, I try to do what I'm best at, right? I try to do what I'm good at. Yes. Adam, Nerds at Words. Yes, that's Adam Nutter. That's the guy, the cop from last week. Yeah, former cop. And he won't say that. Former cop. He's like, I got out, Larry. I got out. Yes. If you were asked to be part of Joe Jorgensen's cabinet, which position would you take? Whatever she would ask me to. I mean, if Joe Jorgensen wins, I'm ecstatic. I hope she wins. That'd be amazing. I hope she does. That'd be awesome. Whatever she wants. I don't care. You name it. I would love to be Secretary of State. That's the coolest of all the cabinet positions. But I would take whatever she wants. Good. I'll be a communications director. I'll be Secretary of Defense. You name it, I'm in. If Joe wants me, I'm in. Yes. Good. All right. Culture change. What do you think about the NFL commissioners admitting? I think you mean admitting. Yeah, I do think. I think culture change is the answer. I think it does happen often. And I'm glad the NFL says something, as they should, right? I mean, the reality of it is the NFL was doing what it thought was best for the NFL. I think a bunch of people either cared or didn't actually care at all, either way, to be forward. I think they were looking at what was going to work for the NFL. And now they think this is going to work for the NFL. This goes to what I talk about for the market, right? The NFL is responding to the culture. The culture is saying, dude, what are you doing? Kaepernick wasn't seen. This is what Kaepernick was talking about. And if the NFL's client base, the people who are watching, who are buying the jerseys, who are watching TV, who are buying ads during the NFL, if those people want the NFL to change because their culture is changing, the NFL's got to change. So I'm not sure if any of the NFL leadership cares any more or less about police brutality or even Kaepernick. I don't know. I know they're reacting the way they should react, which is the culture's changing. They need to change. And that's common. There is the advantage of the market in general. The market tends to shift with its customer base. Otherwise, it doesn't exist. So I think that's an advantage of that. If their people, the people who are watching and buying, and if they want something different, they do something different. And I think one example of that on a non-social issue was the XFL. Remember the XFL came, was it 10 years ago? I forgot when the XFL, 20 years ago, whenever the XFL came out. I forgot when it was. When the XFL came out, I didn't watch it. But when the XFL came out, they had all these cool cameras and all cool, exciting things. And when XFL went away, a lot of people said, I liked XFL. So the NFL took a bunch of those ideas because they were good ideas. So yes. Yes, no more wars. I'm with you. Let's do it. I love it. All right. Let's see if I can do a couple more. Would you implement a bill to audit the Fed? Yes. I know a lot of people get upset about me not always saying end the Fed and instead saying audit the Fed, and they think the audit the Fed won't work. If you have an executive or if you have a congressperson who will actually go through auditing the Fed, the number one thing you do with auditing the Fed is you then show everything to the media. And the media realizes, oh, the Fed, they're a private bank. Yeah. Oh, the Fed's not really part of the government. Yeah. Oh, the Fed just makes money. Yeah. And the average American doesn't know that and doesn't care. And in fact, doesn't know what a central bank is. And if you explain it to them, still probably wouldn't get it. Not where they live, not what they care about. But the media would do a good job because somebody would say, ooh, people will watch this. I can make my name on exposing the Fed for what it really is. So I'm a big fan of that. Yes, absolutely. Yes. All right. Wonder if I can grab this. I'd see the ATF, DEA, and FBI condensed into one force. That's possible, right? Look, if I have the choice of that or nothing, I'll take that. I would rather have like none of them, but you know what? If I got to just take one, fine. That's a good step. The idea that we actually need a DEA or an ATF is itself a horrible thing. Let's just have an FBI. We'll go there. Fine. I will take it. If the average American thinks the DEA is required, and you know it's true. Look at the polling. The average American thinks the ATF, good idea. The average American believes that. If we can get the average American to say, why the hell do we have a drug enforcement agency? Why the hell do we even have an ATF? Don't we have federal cops, the FBI? If someone's committing a crime, that's a real crime, not a I happen to have alcohol, right? A real crime. Then shouldn't the FBI deal with it? Yeah. Beautiful. I'll take it, William. I will take it. 100%. I would take it. How about term limits for public offices? I like it, but I'm not crazy about it. It's not a huge thing for me. I agree, and I would get behind it. It's not high on my list, to be forward with you. I think as a general rule, there are some exceptions, obviously. New York is one of them. We tend to vote out our executives, particularly at the federal level. What we don't vote out is our congresspeople. I think if you were to end gerrymandering, I think we wouldn't require as many term limits. Right? Term limits are exaggerated and exacerbated because of gerrymandering. If we got rid of gerrymandering, I think term limits wouldn't be as big of a deal. But yes, I am for term limits. It's just not high on my list. But yes, if there was a bill, I'm in. I'd vote for it. I would sign it. Yes, I would. Just not high on my list. Yes, get rid of layers of administration. Jim, I'm with you. 100%. Yep, absolutely. This is key, guys. Understand this. As Joe says what I'm saying. 1, monopoly of force. 2, massive jobs program. That's exactly what the government is. Please let's not forget that, right? It's those two things, which means you have to be able to deal with those issues. Absolutely. Have the immigrants that are being held in camps been forgotten by the new BLM movement? Should these issues be connected in our concerns as libertarians? I think they are. And again, this is an issue, Ellen. I agree with you. I think they are. My worry is, we have to be effective. There's a difference between a politician and an activist. Both are very important. We need both in the party, and we're short on both. But we're shorter on politicians than we are activists. We have more activists, far more activists than we have politicians in our movement. However, we need both when we need more of both. An activist will jump on this and say, this is important. Let's stay on this. Keep this in the public eye. Let's talk about it 100%. A politician shouldn't. Now, some of you will be angry when I say that. A politician has to find answers for the community they're trying to represent. If it's a national politician, national issues. A local politician, local issues. So if you're running for, say, county executive in Wisconsin, this may not be your number one issue. Again, like I just talked about with term limits. I support, term limits. Dwayne, if he want, I'm in. But am I going to make that my number one issue if I'm running for, I don't know, county executive of Suffolk County? Probably not. Probably not my number one. Would it be one of my issues? Sure. Is immigrants going to be my number one issue now for running for national office? No, because right now it's BLM and right now it's COVID and security. So that's my top 3 probably. And then that's somewhere lower on the list. If I'm an activist, that might be high on the list. And that's my, I guess, what I'm saying is my difference, right? A politician right now should be looking to solve the problems of the people they're trying to represent. And that should be their top 2 or 3 issues. This should be lower. An activist should be talking about this all the time. So I hope that answers your question. When I talk about libertarianism with big party friends, they point to the problem with China in the South China Sea. How to reduce wars of foreign intervention while supporting our Asian partners against a large populist well-funded aggressor. I understand libertarians believe in voluntary cooperation, but my friends don't see a solution. They only see a power vacuum. As for Marine, what is your insight to libertarian response to the 9 dashed line and other Chinese? I'm assuming there's other things there, but that's okay. I get what he's trying to say. Yes. Hold on. Before I got to say this just popped up. Larry's a Democrat. Yeah, you don't know who I am, dude. You have no idea who I am. He should debate Kenneth in person. I'm happy to, my friend, set that up. Happy to do so. Anytime she wants. I've invited her on my show before. She has not responded. I'm happy to have her on anytime. And if you think I'm a Democrat, you're not paying attention. That's okay. You don't have to. But let me deal with what he just brought up here. It's an important point. Things like South China Sea, etc. Stuff like that, right? The issue here is, hold on. Shut up from Joe Jorgensen's area. Thank you. The issue here is things like South China Sea. You want to deal with that with diplomacy, right? With diplomacy. What's happening in Hong Kong right now? Horrible. To be forward, the Hong Kong people are screwed. China is going to take over. That was going to happen in 1997 when they first decided it was going to happen, right? That Xi Jinping is going to take them over. That was going to happen. Guaranteed. It's how it works. What can we do? Well, what we can do is say, you know what? You're cracking down and shooting Hong Kong people. You can do it, China, if you want to. You can. You can do it if you want to. You do that. I'm thinking we might want to recognize Taiwan. Just saying. I've been thinking about recognizing Taiwan as a country. Right now, America doesn't. Now, it's kind of invisible to us, right? It's a Chinese province in rebellion, right? So we don't really recognize Taiwan. You keep attacking Hong Kong with bombs and I'm sorry, with shooting people there and being violent. We might want to recognize Taiwan. Let's push that issue. Could do that, or you could stop being a jerk in Hong Kong, and we could keep forgetting Taiwan. We could do that. That may be a way of doing it. Use diplomacy, right? The issue here is, do I want to send Marines to die on the beaches of Taiwan to keep the Taiwanese people happy? I don't. And it may make me mean or cruel, I don't. If Marines have to die, they should die defending our country. I don't want them to die. But if they have to die, they should die defending our country. I would have, and to this day still would, die defending my country. I still would. And I'm 50 years old, more than 50. I'm over 50, and I would still do it. I would still die defending my country. Do I want to die defending Taiwan? No. Taiwanese people, if they want to die defending their country, should, if they want to. Would I stop Americans who want to go fight for the Taiwanese because they care about democracy? No. Go ahead. Right? We did during World War I and early in World War II. Many Americans left to go fight the Germans in World War I. Many Americans left to fight the Germans and to fight for the Germans in World War II. A lot of Germans left to go fight for Germans in World War II also. But anyway, Americans left. And this is before we went to war. Before we were at war in World War II, many Americans went to go fight. Okay, your life, your job, your principle, go on. But I'm not prepared to die for that. I'm prepared to use diplomacy, prepared to use the carrot. I'm prepared to use trading rules and regulations, right? All those things. Those I'm prepared to do. I'm not prepared. How do we defend them? Very easily. By simply saying, how can we work with you so that it makes the best sense for you to not be aggressive? How do we set up an environment where they're not aggressive? Right? That's the most important thing. Most important thing. I mean, really, who are the Chinese going to invade? Basically, only those islands, South China Sea and Taiwan. That's all they want. Is there really value in land anymore? I'm being very forward, right? No, most of the value is in intellectual property. Most of the value is in communications. More land just means more mouths to feed. So I'm not sure China even wants that. They probably want Taiwan just for the strength because it was Chinese. That's about it. I don't see China wanting to invade Japan or take over the Philippines. There's 100 million Filipinos, 130 million Japanese. Are they going to fight the Japanese? They're going to fight the South Koreans? I don't think so. I don't see it. I don't think it's an issue. I think it's more of a pride issue than anything else. And we can stop that by using diplomacy. All right. Let's see if I can find that. I find a lot of people voted more based on dislike of one candidate and liking another. I agree all the time. Too many of us fight against things that are for them that need to change. Yes, we have to, Eric, give people something to vote for. And that's good ideas, good policies, and caring. Yes, it is. 100%. Yes. Let's see here. I love that analysis about Trump. Call people deplorables, threaten their rights, call them rednecks, and act surprised when they say, hell yeah. Yeah, we spent a lot of time calling them names and attacking them, and then wonder why they said, well, go to hell. Well, yeah, we spent a lot of time insulting them. So, yeah, of course they would do that. I would too. Of course. Yes. So, Larry needs more eyes and ears on him to spread his message. I agree, Ryan. Please do that. 100%. I agree. Let's see if I can find out about that. My dad is 72, drives Uber. Exactly correct, Melissa. That is exactly my point. You find a lot of people who, this is the gig economy. It's how they make extra money. And many of us, particularly if we're young now, if we're in our 20s or 30s, if we're in that arena, the odds are we're going to work into our 70s. And why? The odds are because we'll probably be healthy enough. The odds are we will. And the odds are we might want to because we want to make more money, right? Social Security is going to be enough, and we're going to want to have our pension may not be good enough, and we want a better lifestyle. So we're going to work to make some more cash. I know people who are retired who work just so they can spend more money on their grandkids, right? They want to be able to take their grandkids on a summer vacation. So they work during the week a couple times, like an Uber or something like that. So you have more cash so they can spend money on their grandkids. And look, if that's your life, good for you. Whatever floats your boat, whatever makes you feel good. I love it. Yes. Talk about a libertarian win in the presidency would look like to you. I think I think the only way libertarian wins if you win enough states to throw it to the House and the House votes for libertarian. That's the only way I see us winning in the near future. That may change in 2024, 2028, 2032. You never know how the demographics and how things change in the country. But right now, our hope has to be that we win enough states to where there's a problem with this, by the way, though, right? If you focus on certain states, you risk not getting the 3 to 5%, which gains ballot access from many other states. My logic is if you win the presidency, it won't matter. It just won't matter. The amount of power and shock and awe the libertarian president would have would just by default change the laws within the states. Just what happened. There's no way around that. There'd be just too much of a shock and awe. It would just happen. And you would find if we had a libertarian president, here's the value of a libertarian president people don't get. Well, as I mentioned, libertarian governor, right? If I had won the governorship in 2018, people said, "Larry, you wouldn't be able to do anything because the whole, state assembly and Senate, would be Democrat, or as it would now, or Democrat Republican." No, there are a bunch of liberty-leaning Democrat Republicans who won't become libertarian because there's no power in it. All I'd have to do is go, "Guys, I'm the governor now. It's a real party now." If you just, if 20 of you change and become libertarians, you would control the entire assembly because you'd be the swing vote. So libertarians don't have to have the majority in a three-party system. They have to have enough to be the swing vote. In the Senate, what's that? 10? In the House, maybe 50, whatever that is, whatever that number is. I don't know what the number is, whatever that number is, right? You're that amount, you're the swing vote. You now would decide, probably 5, I would guess in the Senate now, the way it works. Probably 5 would be a swing vote. So you control. So that's how it would look. You see people begin changing their party registration just to have more personal power, if anything else, to have more impact, right? A lot of them would swap because that's how it would work. So I think you would see a lot of that. And you'd also see if they're a decent candidate, you would see a lot of policy that would begin to slowly change how we start thinking about stuff. We'd break the monopoly of government, which is what I always try to do. That I think is what will happen. So yes. All right. Let's see if I can find this. Hold on. I've already covered a civil asset forfeiture 1,000 times. The idea behind civil asset forfeiture is the idea that the police will just take stuff that they find on people. The people don't have to be convicted or arrested. The fact that they have the stuff on them, usually cash, but could be other goods, and a cop believes they may be in the part of the drug war, they will take it. And if you don't have money to fight it, you will lose it. You will just take it. It is completely unconstitutional and normal. And civil asset, be clear about this, the government has taken more from American citizens in civil asset forfeiture than all the burglary combined in a given year. The government is the biggest robber in the nation. Bigger than all the other burglaries in the country. The government is the biggest robber. And it's legal. It's legalized theft, and there's a recourse unless you're wealthy. And it's how we fund a big chunk of our law enforcement. So take cannabis off and civil asset forfeiture. It defunds the drug war. I'm not talking about defunding the police department. I'm talking about defunding the drug war. I'm all about that. Yes, all about that. All right. Being in the hospitality and tourism industry, we've been decimated. Absolutely. Many people don't realize that hotel taxes help local municipalities. Yes, they do. I'm surprised how politicians don't seem to care about this. I'm curious to see the effect that it has on cities and towns. It's going to devastate them. Matt, you are correct. People aren't thinking about that. It is a huge problem. Absolutely. And yes. I would love to see a Sharpe versus Severe debate. We don't have to debate. We can just talk. I don't mind it. We can debate if you like, if he wants to. I'm happy. Look, Shapiro has a much bigger profile than I have. If he wants me on for whatever, I'm happy to have a conversation, have a debate. If he wants to beat me up and debate me, I'm happy to do that. It would be awesome. No worries whatsoever. All right. I've gone past 2 hours. I know I can't get through all of these. I apologize. I try to get through them all. I know I can't always, but I do try to. I apologize for not doing that. I will try to get through more of them if I can in the future. Guys, thank you so much for tonight. As always, please do me a favor. Like, comment, share. As always, it's important. Yes, hello. Try to the best you to do that. Like, comment, and share. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Sharpe Way. Follow me on YouTube. And if you've got some cash, not Joe, if you've got some cash, go to patreon.com/Sharpe Way and throw me some bucks. 5, 10, 20, 30. If you're super rich, they'll be $500 a month. If you're very rich. If you're not rich, a couple bucks is fine. If you don't have that, no worries. It does matter that you like and subscribe. That's how the algorithms work. Support me by doing that. Go now to Twitter. Go down to Facebook. Like and follow them. And, of course, always share. Thank you, guys. Have a great night.